Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Talk with Antonio. I am your host, Antonio. Well, ladies and gentlemen, WrestleMania 40 has come and gone. I watched both nights. Well, I watched the first night a little late because I came home from work, but I watched the entire event on night two. Well, wow, I'm still like recovering from what happened last night. Let me say I was glued to the TV. I was glued to the TV. But other than that, the main event between Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, it had its moments. And I was like glued to the TV. So, well, WrestleMania season is over. Now on to, let me see what's like the main pay-per-view. SummerSlam is the next one. Then afterwards is Survivor Series. So like right now, but let's talk about the first the matches that happened. So like I said, I watched the first night. I came late because of work, so I was like watching a little late. So the first fight was Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch, and she defeated Becky by pinfall. The match lasted 17 minutes and 5 seconds. Well, all right. Like I am like completely like I will say this. I haven't watched wrestling in a long time, even though I do keep up what's going on with the news and what's going on with the other wrestlers and stuff. But watching it, this was actually like the first time since like the very last time I watched the pay-per-view. This may sound a little bit like way back. Was WrestleMania 28. It was The Rock versus John Cena when I actually ordered the pay-per-view at the time. That was actually the very last time I actually watched a WrestleMania pay-per-view. And actually watched it the first time since at that time, that was 2012. This is 2024. That's a long time, you know. A very long time. But yeah, and I was watching Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. I was rooting for Rhea Ripley. She's the next star, even though she was portrayed as a heel, but people were cheering for her a lot. And Becky Lynch was the supposed babyface, but people were actually booing her. And I, for one, I'm about to say this. Yeah, I know Becky was the man gimmick and all that stuff. But you know, I said this comment on Twitter. Her time has passed. It's now Rhea Ripley's time. So I'm glad that Rhea Ripley won the first match on night one. The second match was A-Town Down Under and The Awesome Truth versus The Judgment Day, DIY, The New Day, and New Catch Republic. So it was for the Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Wrestling Championship. So let's see who won. I forgot who was the other guys that won the SmackDown title. Like, that's how out of touch I am. It was a pretty good match. I'm not gonna lie to you. It had its moments, but the one that people were cheering for was The Miz and The Awesome Truth. The Miz and R-Truth. And when R-Truth actually picked up the championship, and then The Miz came up and hugged him, people were cheering for R-Truth. And you know, I would say this was probably R-Truth's very first championship that he won at a major pay-per-view. Because, okay, let's talk about R-Truth for 1 second. When he debuted in WWE back in 2001, WWF at that time, along with what's his name, Road Dogg Jesse James, he was pretty popular at that time. But he got fired, I believe, like in December 2001, and then the following year he debuted in the brand new promotion of, back then it was known as NWA TNA, as K Crush, and then he became the Truth, R-Truth, and then when he won his first he was actually considered the first ever black NWA champion. He defeated Ken Shamrock, and he won the title 2 more times And when he won the NWA title at that TNA pay-per-view, when he defeated Ken Shamrock, he was made. He was a star. And I remember when he was a heel, he started like saying all these promos. And the one he says, why did the WWF, WWE, whatever they call themselves, why they let me go? And it always, like, when people, or I mean, when wrestlers get fired, I would say it's like because either they're debuting like in the like WWF or WWE at the WWE is the big show. It's the big leagues. Yes, there could be other wrestling promotions, but everyone knows that the WWE is the big show, and that's the bottom line. I can't believe I just fucking said that. I just took a page out of Stone Cold Steve Austin. But R-Truth, when he won I would say his first major title at WrestleMania, I was extremely happy for him that he debuted there. And that he won a major title there. And then the third match, Rey Mysterio and Andrade with Carlito, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, and Selena Vega defeated Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominic Mysterio with Angel, Berto, and Elektra Lopez by pinfall. It was pretty good. Rey Mysterio, he still got it, man. Man, I've always been a big fan of Rey Mysterio. Even when he was in WCW, he was known as Rey Mysterio Jr. Extremely talented high flyer. To me, the day when Rey Mysterio retires, the WWE is going to lose a major big star. And it comes now the fourth match. Jey Uso against Jimmy Uso, defeated by pinfall. I actually watched that match. I mean, it probably had its moments, but I saw a lot of people on social media that were saying that match was a dud. It could have been better. Okay, but I did watch clips online that Jimmy was interfering a lot in Jay's matches. So it was kind of like a brother versus brother match, kind of like a repeat of what happened back in WrestleMania 10 when it was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. Well, that match, everyone knows that it was a banger. Yes, I've had some opinions in the past, but now that I've rewatched WrestleMania 10 on VHS, and I saw that match of Bret Hart against Owen, it was a pretty good banger, But was I happy that Bret lost? No, I was extremely unhappy, and fucking Owen won. But, excuse me, with Jay defeated, yeah, I was actually rooting for Jay. But was it a dud as people say as it was? No, it wasn't. I mean, it could have been better. Not going to lie to you. But it could have been better. Okay, now the other one is Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair and Naomi against Damage Control, CTRL. It was 8 minutes and 5 seconds. And, this right here caught my attention. Okay, when Jade, Bianca, and Naomi showed up at the ring, and what's her name? Dakota Kai. I guess she didn't leave the ring, and I guess a former WWE star, Mark Henry, I guess, took issue with that because saying that she disrespected the business and all that stuff. I mean, come on, man. It's not that serious. I mean, yeah, I can understand where he's going, but Dakota Kai, she didn't really mean that. I mean, she just didn't get out on cue, But for Mark Henry to go online, or not online, I am terribly sorry. For him to go on, I guess it was like this interview, you could see Bubba Ray, and he was complaining about Dakota Kai. Come on, dude. Give me a break. It wasn't really that serious, But hey, this is just my opinion. If people don't like it, hey, I'm sorry, man. We all have a right to a different opinion, But Mark Henry, he is completely out of touch. I'm sorry. So, okay, now here comes another banger. It was Sami Zayn versus Gunther for the Intercontinental title. And Sami, man. I actually like Sami a lot. And also, I remember watching him when he was part of the Bloodline with Roman, Jay, and Jimmy, and Solo. Before, but he actually brought a lot of life into the bloodline, Sammy. And when he was cracking jokes, you could see how Jimmy, even Roman, but Jay was the one who was like fucking trying so hard not to laugh. And I was like, Sammy has a lot of charisma. He has a lot of charisma, and for him, and he actually defeated Gunther after holding the Intercontinental title for 666 days. I mean, I'll give him credit, you know. He was the longest reigning Intercontinental champion, but I know this is I'm going to be sounding biased. Yes, he may have been the longest reigning Intercontinental champion, but he wasn't the greatest, in my opinion. That, to me, goes to the honky tonk, man. The greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. I mean, hey, like I said, Gunther, I'll give him credit. He brought back prestige to the Intercontinental title. He was the longest reigning Intercontinental champion. But was he the greatest? Nope. That belongs to the honky tonk, man. So, but I'll give kudos to Gunther. But I'm very, very glad that Sami Zayn won. And he finally got back the Intercontinental Championship. So now to the big one for night one main event. Oh my God, the Bloodline, The Rock and Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman against Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. It says here there was a tag team match since Rock and Reigns won the WWE Universal Championship. Match on night 2 was held under Bloodline rules. Had Rhodes and Rollins won, all the members of the Bloodline would have been barred from ringside during the championship match. But the match lasted, well, I actually saw part of it. It was 44 minutes and 35 seconds. Well, you know, it was bound to happen. We all know that Roman and The Rock were going to win on night 1. And like I said, I didn't really watch that match because I knew who was going to win. You can see that Cody was disappointed. He was like, fuck. Now it's like, it's now or never for night 2. So this one, for night 2, this is the one that I was glued. I did not go to work that day because I was like glued to my TV watching this. And okay, night 2 started. First match was Drew McIntyre versus Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. And I saw that match. And you know, when I saw the entrance of Drew McIntyre and when they were playing the bagpipes, oh my God, you know, like, it kind of brought a tear to my eye because when I heard that music playing, I was like, oh my God, where's Roddy Piper? And kind of realized that Roddy Piper is long passed away. And you know, when I think about that, it kind of breaks my heart knowing that wrestlers that I grew up with watching are no longer alive. And when they were playing that music with the bagpipes, I was like, oh my God. That really brought a tear to my eye. And the match, I saw the match, and then Seth Rollins came in, and and then what's his name? Drew did the Claymore on Seth, and you could tell that when Seth was getting out of the ring, he was all teary-eyed because he knew that he was going to be out for quite some time. And then what's his name? Drew was on the table, kind of like rubbing into CM Punk's face because he was on commentary, by the way. And then CM Punk attacked him because he knew that he was the reason why Drew injured him, so he was just getting some payback because there was like a lot of bad blood. When all of a sudden Damian Priest, and he was the Money in the Bank winner, came in and defeated Drew McIntyre by pinfall, and the match only lasted 9 seconds, and he became Mr. Money in the Bank, and he won the World Heavyweight Championship for Drew McIntyre. I was like, oh shit. The first match when Drew fought against Seth was 10 minutes. And this one lasted 9 seconds to defeat Drew McIntyre. And, you know, there's a follower of mine. She was rooting for Drew a lot. And when this guy beat him, oh my gosh, she was not happy at all. But, you know, I don't blame her. I don't blame her at all for feeling that way because you can see how. Let's go back to 2020 when I believe it was I forget which WrestleMania it was, where Drew fought against Brock Lesnar to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I guess it was during COVID. And, okay. Let's go back during that time, during the time of COVID. respect to both brands, both Drew and Roman carry the company at that time. Because during those dark times of fucking COVID, Drew was champion, Roman was champion. But yeah, we all know that Roman was more of a star. But both Drew and Roman carried that company during those dark times, But yeah, that's what happened. But a lot of people were not happy. A lot of people were cheering for Damien that he won. But there was one of my followers on Twitter. She was not happy at all. She was extremely fucking pissed. Okay, so now on to the third fight. It was a Philadelphia street fight, and Bubba Ray Dudley was a special guest referee. It was The Pride, Bobby Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford with B-Bab against the Final Testament, Karrion Kross, Akam, and Razor with Scarlett and Paul Ellering accompanied by Scarlett and Paul Ellering. Oh, man. Paul Ellering. Jesus. Oh, man, that's nostalgia right there. He was the manager of the Road Warriors, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I don't care what people say. Yes, there are other tag teams like the Steiner Brothers. Hey, Steiner Brothers are one of my favorites. The Hart Foundation. But you can't beat the Road Warriors, Road Warrior Hawk and Road Warrior Animal. They were the best tag teams. And I know they were stars. They were before my time, I believe. Or maybe they were during my time, but I was just a toddler when they were super famous in Jim Crockett Promotions or WCW, however you want to call it. But they are the best. And when I heard Paul Ellering, oh man, it's just memories there. So the match happened. It only lasted for 8 minutes and 35 seconds, and the Pride defeated the Final Testament. Okay, and now on to one of my favorites, LA Knight. I'm actually paying attention to the guy online, and he's pretty cool. He was a star in Impact or TNA, however you want to call it. And he defeated AJ Styles. I was watching online how I think it was like this fan convention where LA Knight came up to fucking AJ and they started they were fighting, like it was all choreographed, and then fucking what's his name, AJ was all bloodied up and shit. But I like LA Knight a lot. He's fucking cool. And he defeated AJ Styles by pinfall. It was pretty cool. I like that. I like LA Knight now. And on to the fifth fight, which was, to me, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not a fan of this fucker. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. I don't know, I know it's not like I'm going to sound like a casual fan, but I don't know, I can't stand that motherfucker. He's just he's a United States champion. Yes, I know people are gonna say, "Oh yeah, he's carrying the company. He's making the United States Championship more popular." I understand that, but I don't know. There's something about Logan Paul that I dislike a lot. I'm not a fan of that dude. And then when he defeated Kevin Owens and Randy Orton, I was not happy at all. I was extremely, extremely unhappy with the result of that match. Fucking then some influencer interfered in the match. I don't even know who the fuck that dude was, wearing a bottled suit, and Randy Orton beat the living fuck out of him. Like I said, I'm sorry. If they want to comment on this episode, you can go right ahead. Like I said, I don't know who these other influencers are. Like that guy who was helping Logan. I don't even know who the fuck that guy was, but Randy Orton beat the fuck out of him. I was like, oh shit. But the results of that match, not happy at all. I was pissed off, but whatever. And on to the next match. It was Bayley against Io Sky for the WWE Women's Championship. And the way that she came out, Bayley, that was so cool. Like the princess or queen. They were like the dudes with the mask and the ancient Egyptian carrying on her shoulder, and they were carrying her. That was so cool. I like that entrance a lot of Bayley. And they fought for 14 minutes and 20 seconds, and I was watching, and you could tell, how they were injuring Bailey's knee. I'm sorry. It was a back and forth thing, and this and that. And I was like, shit. And I was like, please don't lose. And then Bailey defeated Io Sky to become the women's champion again. And on to the main event for night 2. Bloodline rules match for the WWE Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns with Paul Heyman by pinfall. And I was watching the pay-per-view, and I was like, I'm sorry if I call it pay-per-view, because I'm still stuck in that mindset, people. But I was watching, and I was like, oh shit. And then fucking Jimmy came down. What's his name? But then Jay came to help out, and then he just they all got down on the floor on the other side, on the stages and stuff. It was a pretty good match. I was glued. I was watching with anticipation, because everyone was saying Cody Rhodes has to finish his story, because if we go back, before I continue, if we go back to last year WrestleMania, I didn't watch that pay-per-view, but I heard what was going on because I was working at that time. And then Cody lost a night 2 at WrestleMania here in California, WrestleMania 39. And people were like, what? But that's where Jimmy and Jay were, basically the bloodline were helping out Roman. And Roman defeated, what's his name? Cody. People were shocked. People were not happy at all. But you know what that kind of reminds me of right there before I continue? It happened, I believe it was WrestleMania 31, I believe. I saw it online that it was Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Then I heard that during the fight, people were booing heavily, even though he was a babyface. They were booing Roman heavily. And then Seth Rollins cashed in his Money in the Bank, and to end the pay-per-view, Seth became the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, defeating Roman and Brock. But towards the end, you can see, I've seen pictures all over the internet where Roman is walking out, holding his ribs with his vest in hand. And I also read a lot online that a lot of the family members were pretty pissed off. They were telling Roman to quit, and a lot of the family members were pissed off about that, because I read that online. And I was like, yeah, that kind of reminds me of what happened to Cody last year. But look what happened this year when Cody won the Royal Rumble again. But then The Rock came back, and people were saying that Cody had to give up his spot for The Rock to fight against Roman for the title. And people were, I remember hearing that a lot on social media when The Rock came back, and you can see it on Monday Night Raw where he shook the hand of Cody, and The Rock and Roman became face to face, and Roman lifted up the belt. And a lot of lines saying that they did not want to see The Rock against Roman. They wanted to see Cody, and people were saying, we want Cody, we want Cody. It was trending everywhere in social media. It was all over. I was paying attention on that, and I was like, oh shit, that's pretty serious. But lo and behold, what happened? The news conference, what's his name? Roman against Cody. It was set. But the first night, it was supposed to be Cody and Seth Rollins versus The Rock and Roman. But in the first night of The Rock wrestling, I love The Rock. I'm not gonna get into what he said on Fox News. That's for another different time. But as a wrestler, The Rock, he's done for. He's not the same guy. Even back at WrestleMania 28, when he fought against Cena, The Rock was gassed up. He was super tired. He was not up to The Rock when he was back in during the days of the Attitude Era. And yeah, there's like a famous meme right now of The Rock holding, he was like yelling in pain or something like that. But yeah, that's what happened. And I think The Rock, he can't really wrestle that much as he used to back then. But yeah, but going back to the main event, the match was going back and forth, Roman and Cody. It was nerve wracking. I'm not gonna lie to you people. And then when Jimmy came down, what's his name? Jay came to help out, and then what's his name? Solo came out again to help out. You fucking did that. What is that? That thumb spike towards Cody. And then he was yelling at Roman saying, finish and finish. And Roman was like, I know. And all of a sudden, what's his name? One of my least favorite wrestlers came to help out Cody. What's his name? John Cena, the charisma vacuum. I'm sorry. That's just me. He came out and all that stuff, and he helped out. He took out Solo. Then all of a sudden, The Rock came out, and he's trying to took off his belt. It says Mama Rose, trying to whip Cody again. When all of a sudden, fucking The Undertaker came out, and he chokeslammed The Rock. But before, and I've also read online that there was a lot of rumors saying that it was going to be Stone Cold Steve Austin that was supposed to stun The Rock. I was even actually expecting that. There was a lot of rumors going around, but I guess I don't know. They probably could not get it to an agreement, so they chose The Undertaker as a backup plan. Well, yeah, I mean, he did a pretty good job. People, when they heard the gong, and people went nuts. I was like, oh shit! And also, before I forget, the Shield, when they heard the music came out, I was like, oh shit! In my mind, I was like, is it possible? Is it possible? I know, obviously, Seth, but I was like, is it possible? I was like, no, that ain't gonna happen. It was just Seth who came out with his Shield gear, and then when Roman had the chair, and he was about to hit what's his name, Cody, but then he looked at Seth, and he hit him with so hard with the chair. And you know what? It goes back to 10 years when Seth betrayed Roman and Dean Ambrose with the chair shot. So you could say that's 10 years. That's payback for 10 years later. You could tell that Roman hit Seth with the chair with such with such hatred. Yeah, it was like, hey, Roman was like, that's payback for 10 years ago. But then, what's his name? Pardon me. What was it? Oh, sorry, it was just a message. But yeah, Roman hit what's his name? Seth with a chair. But then all of a sudden Cody did his finishing move like 3 times at least. And then he pinned Roman 1, 2, 3, and he was like, fine. You could tell like people were like cheering, like the whole stadium just blew up. And I was like, oh shit, he finally won. I was cheering for Cody. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was like, oh shit. And like the ring announcer was like saying like she was actually crying when Cody became the world champion. And I was like, wrestlers came out to cheer, like, when they carry him on his shoulders, like I see Cena, Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, Jey Uso, etc. CM Punk, by the way, and also he invited his mom onto the stage, and you can see like there's a picture right now that's going around circling, and also Kevin Owens, by the way. And then when there's a picture of what's his name, Cody holding the belt up with he's on Sammy and Jay are holding on both on their shoulder. I actually made a comment on Twitter that goes back to 40 years ago, 39 years ago, we would say. WrestleMania 10, when Bret Hart won the World Wrestling Federation Championship against Yokozuna, and then when Bret won, all the other wrestlers Lex Luger, the late Razor Ramon, Tatanka, the late Roddy Piper, the late Gorilla Monsoon, the late Macho Man, the late Burt Reynolds. Let's see who else. Bob Holly was Sparky. Bob Holly was there. Tatanka, and then when both Razor and Lex put Brett on their shoulder, and he was like saying like cheering, basically, you know, like people were cheering, and Macho got onto the one of the turnbuckles on the side, and he was like pointing and saying he is the champion. And that moment right there, Cody reminded me of what happened to Bret the Hitman Hart back then at WrestleMania 10. I was like, oh my god, that's like nostalgia all over again. So, what do I rate this pay-per-view out of 10? I would say a 10. Night 2 was better than... Night 1 was okay. I'm not going to lie to you. Well, it was... No, okay. Okay. I take it back. It was good. But Night 2 was better. Way, way better. But yeah, that was WrestleMania 40, people. And right now I'm reading that there were some matches that were canceled. Let me see. I'm reading right here, people. Let me see. Storylines. I'm sorry, people. This is like... sorry, like my throat's a bit hurting right now. So, I saw other celebrities like Snoop Dogg, Meek Mill, what's his name? Lil Wayne showed up. Oh, a bunch of celebrities. You know, it's like your typical WrestleMania. A lot of celebrity shows showed up. But let's talk about the cancel. It was only 2 matches that were canceled. Let me see. Okay. Obviously, one of them is CM Punk, who, after nearly 10 years, made his return to WWE at Survivor Series War Games in November 2023. Legitimately tore his triceps during the Men's Royal Rumble match. It was reported that his planned WrestleMania 40 match was to challenge Seth freaking Rollins for Raw's World Heavyweight Championship, but due to his injury, plans were changed. I mean, that was bound to happen, you know, because when CM Punk returned to WWE last November, there's even showing videos of Seth getting all pissed off, flipping off CM Punk. I was like, whatever. Like, and CM Punk was like sulky in the moment and everything. And then when they were doing the program, they were supposedly building up the program. Seth came out and said, you know, trying to be in a typical bootlicker and trashing CM Punk and such. But but he hurt his tricep, and then what's his name? Drew McIntyre put an exclamation mark and just basically beat the shit out of him with his injured arm. But look what happened, lo and behold, during the first match on night 2. CM Punk attacked Drew McIntyre. He wanted to say, payback's a bitch, ain't it? And another one, but this was a bit... there was not really a match, but he was actually going to return. Brock Lesnar, who last appeared at SummerSlam in August of 2023, was planned to return at the Royal Rumble and be featured in a match at WrestleMania 40 against Gunther. That would have been pretty good. But, though, it says here that, however, due to Lesnar being referenced in a sex trafficking lawsuit against Vince McMahon, Lesnar was pulled from the Royal Rumble and all planned storylines for him leading to WrestleMania were scrapped. That right there is a different story that I want to talk about that for a later episode. But what would have happened if Brock fought against Gunther? I think Gunther would have gone over. Because, you know, Brock Lesnar, I mean, yeah, he is an attraction, but he's getting older, you know? Okay, you know, I will have my opinion of Brock Lesnar, what he did. If he did that, that's... Look, like I said, I'm not going to trash him or anything like that. But if he did that, that's fucked up. But like I said, I will talk about that some other time. But in terms of him being in a WrestleMania match, I mean, look, right now, Vince McMahon is no longer in charge of WWE. He's not being pushed as he was when Lesnar returned back in 2012, the day after WrestleMania 28. And Brock was pushed to the moon. He kept using all these titles. The Universal Championship, the WWE Championship. He just like held it for a long time without even showing up or defending it. And people, that's another thing I kind of noticed when people saying, oh, Roman was not defending a title at all. But there's a difference between Roman and Brock Lesnar. Roman defended it more. He was on the shows. He was in Raw. He was in SmackDown. He was at every other pay-per-view. Brock wasn't. And that's like the one thing I've always had, like something like, what is it with Vince McMahon was always pushing these behemoths? Because he always like pushed all these guys that were all roided up and stuff. And it's very obvious that Brock was always like, he always got a hard on for Brock Lesnar. He was pushed to the moon. He even allowed back then, prior to the merger with UFC, that he even allowed Brock Lesnar to fight against Mark Hunt in a UFC fight back in 2016, which is something okay. He allowed Brock Lesnar to do it because he got all these liberties, and when he came back to WWE, he had these trunks with all these sponsors and stuff, and But like right now, is he coming back? I think even Triple H did an interview that Brock Lesnar he said that Brock Lesnar will return. It's just that there's no timeline for him to return right now. So other than that, let's see. The people who were how they reacted online, it was pretty chaotic. Even I was like, I was tweeting of how the Shield, of The Undertaker, The Rock, Jey Uso, Seth Rollins with the Shield gear. But now that WrestleMania finished and Cody won his championship, once again, this is just my opinion. So I am happy for Cody Rhodes that he won. But this is something that I want to comment that I've seen that I swear to you, it's just like I've seen. Okay. I've mentioned in the past that not all wrestling fans, but some wrestling fans are so tribalistic that man. I saw a guy where I believe it was Mark Briscoe is his name. He won the world championship in ROH, I believe, something. I don't know. I could be wrong, perhaps. When he won the championship, they put a photo of him putting the less than when Cody won the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. And these are people who are AEW fans. Look, okay, this is something that I've noticed, that AEW fans have been, after all these years, they're still salty that Cody Rhodes left AEW to go back to WWE. It's like with this guy. I remember a couple years ago, what's this dude's name? Like I'm not even gonna say his name, but there's this one big dude who was a staunch AEW fan. And he came out on videos basically saying that WrestleMania was not that good. He was making all these references of April 1st, using all these dates and all that stuff. Like, come on, give me a break, dude. And then when the subject of Cody Rhodes came out, saying that Cody Rhodes, that he's a sellout. And then when they said that, like people were saying that, Cody Rhodes is going to went to WWE because they offer him more family. He was like, fuck his family. He literally said, fuck his family. Okay. When that guy said that, I swear to you, I was like, what the fuck? Are you really like that delusional? I don't know what happened between Cody Rhodes and Tony Khan, but they couldn't come to an agreement. But hey, WWE offered him more money. And that dude even said that he could have gone to Impact or to New Japan. But do you really think that he's going to take his family to move out of the country just to go to wrestle in New Japan? Just to live there for, just to wrestle 10 weeks a year? He said he could have gone to New Japan. He could have gone to Impact. But at that time, Impact was not doing well. But he got mad that Cody Rhodes went back to WWE. He kept calling the sellout. I don't know if it's immaturity that he really said that because he was still he was salty that Cody Rhodes left. Give me a fucking break. And I will say this. When I was a kid, I used to think that way because I remember when I was a kid that when Razor Ramon and Diesel left the WWF to go to WCW, I used to say, I think even my loved ones would say that. I used to say a lot that they were not loyal to the WWF. They went to WCW for all this stuff. Why? They were not loyal to their fans and all that stuff. But as I got older, I realized that, hey, money talks. And even Scott Hall said it, and the NWO Back in Black DVD, he said that they were working 300 dates a year. Him and Diesel, or Kevin Nash, however you want to call him, they were working all this time, and their payment started to plateau. And then they were working. They were not making a lot of money, but there were no guarantees at that time. But then WCW came in, and they offered them more money for less days for more money. I mean, hey, they offer more money. Hey, I got to do what's best for my family. You know, if they were offering me, say for example, if I were to work, say, an example, I'm working at Sam's Club. I got there, I'm working, I'm making some pretty good money, but I'm working a lot. I'm like, I'm getting, tired. And then comes Costco, and he says, hey man, we'll offer you the same thing, less days, more money. Of course I'm going to take where they offer me more money. But Kevin Nash said in an interview with Sean Oliver, and he said that when Scott was offered the money to go to WCW, he gave his notice. But Kevin Nash spoke to Vince McMahon and said that that he wanted to talk to Vince. And he told Vince that you don't have to match this amount, just guarantee it. But Vince at that time couldn't do that. So Kevin left. Him and Scott Hall and Kevin Nash left, and because they offered him more money. So going back to Cody Rhodes, he left because he couldn't come to an agreement with Tony Khan, and then at that time Vince, Triple H, Nick Khan, Bruce Pritchard came in and they wanted to talk to Cody, so they offered him more money, and he came back. And a lot of people, and also I've seen comments on Twitter of how people were booing Cody in AEW. And a lot of other real hardcore pro wrestling fans said that the AEW fans were the ones that drove Cody out of AEW. I don't know. What is it? People, they want to say, oh, my brand is better. My other brand is better. It doesn't like that. I wrote something on Twitter earlier today that me personally, okay, I want AEW to succeed. I want both AEW and WWE to succeed. I want it's like WCW. Okay, let's go. Let's go back to the 90s. WWF versus WCW. My brother and me were both guilty as charged. I started watching WCW. Well, actually, before, when I didn't have cable, I used to hear it was word of the mouth back in school. I was introduced to WCW by magazines and everything. That's where I saw Sting, Ric Flair. when he, even though he was in the WWF at that time, he was about to leave, but he had magazines where Ric Flair was in WCW before. And then I started watching Monday Nitro when it debuted, and that's when we had cable. And like I said, my brother and me were guilty as charged. We used to channel surf, watch WWF, Monday Night Raw, and watch Monday Nitro. It was it was WCW was an alternative to the WWF at the time, because WWF at that time was doing terrible. But like I said, WCW was becoming too greedy in signing former WWF wrestlers Like the one that started it all was when Hogan went to WCW in 1994, and then Macho Man and all these other guys, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, Bret Hart, Roddy Piper, Six, better known as 1-2-3 Kid or X-Pac. Basically, the company was signing all these like these former WWF wrestlers, and right now with AEW, I mentioned that in Twitter that AEW is slowly becoming WCW 2.0. And I don't want for Tony look like I said, I'm no fan of Tony Khan because I'm not, because he's an idiot. I'll talk about him some other time. But he doesn't really know how to control the company, especially his wrestlers. It's like Conan said one time when he was in TNA, when when Dixie Carter was excited that she was running a wrestling company, and she was all like, "Oh, I'm friends with all these wrestlers," but then she saw the reality that all the wrestlers have agendas. All wrestlers had agendas, so that she was like saying, "Oh, this is not what it's cracked up to be." But give me 1 second, people. 1 second. 1 second, people. Nothing. False alarm. But yeah, but Tony Khan doesn't really know how to run a wrestling company. Especially with the executive vice presidents, the Young Bucks, whatever they're called. Like right now, after what happened with the issue with CM Punk last year, right now, it's funny how Tony Khan right now, after WrestleMania, right now this week, they're going to release the problem that the Young Bucks and CM Punk had. Why would he do that release after a while? Just because those two dudes, I mean, I am no fan of the Young Bucks. I don't know, like all of them. I don't have an opinion on Kenny Omega, but with the Young Bucks, they have agendas, So, in conclusion, do I think AEW needs to be better run? I'd say yeah, because look what's going on right now with WWE. This WrestleMania was also the first under the TKO branding, and also the first WrestleMania that's not under the control of the regime of Vince McMahon at all. Which to me, that's kind of weird, I don't know. Okay, look, Vince McMahon, that guy, he has some issues, a lot of issues. But for this WrestleMania to be the first WrestleMania not in control of Vince, under the regime of Vince McMahon, it's pretty weird, But as I said before, it was time for a change, because I know for a fact that under Vince McMahon, the company was micromanaged a lot. A lot of people were saying that they didn't want to deal with Vince McMahon because, like, even as CM Punk said in his famous pipe bomb, the podcast he did with Colt Cabana, he even mentioned that Vince McMahon was out of touch. He said that 2 times, I believe, that Vince McMahon was completely out of touch. And I would agree with that statement, because what is it with Vince McMahon? Like I said, he always pushed like these behemoths that like roided up dudes. He pushed them all the fucking time. Even Matt Hardy said in an interview on Talk Is Jericho that when he did that, like that broken Matt Hardy character, but it was woken Matt Hardy character. And when he was doing all the the rehearsal or something like that, and Matt Hardy said that Vince McMahon looked around. He said he didn't understand the character, and he was like that's a perfect example of how Vince McMahon was completely out of touch. Completely out of touch. So like right now, they're getting like I believe that Vince sold some stocks. I believe like it's worth millions of dollars, and TKO right now is basically, and also Vince McMahon had to resign in disgrace because of the sex trafficking allegations. So right now, WWE is quickly distancing themselves from Vince McMahon right now. But a lot of people were saying, will Vince McMahon ever appear in WWE television? Probably not. Never again. But is it like more relaxed? I would say yeah. Like right now they're using a lot of things like bringing more cussing words and all that stuff, and they're allowed to use the term wrestling instead of sports entertainment, because according to Vince McMahon, he really wanted to shy away from wrestling. He just wanted to be sports entertainment. And like right now, since Vince McMahon is no longer in charge, I guess I would say they're gonna probably bring back more words like they used to use in the past. Like with I for one, I've never called the championships like title. I always call them the belt, because that's how I grew up with the belt. And like I can tell that the company right now is going to be more like under the guidance of her herself or Triple H. Let's see how this new era goes with WWE now. I mean, anything is possible right now. Right now with Cody Rhodes as the new face of WWE, him being the champion. And also, I read that Cody Rhodes said that he wants to bring back the winged eagle looking belt that they used back in the 90s of WWF days. But that's another thing. I really, if Cody does that, I'll be happy, because like I've noticed that with WWE, they had a trend of shying away with the traditional looking belts. Because I remember prior it was the winged eagle. That's everyone's favorite. Then they released the big eagle that they used during the Attitude Era, and then they released the undisputed looking belt. Then they used that for X amount of years. Then they changed to these like big these big belts with the big ass W. And then they started changing, and even Cody Rhodes, when he was the Intercontinental Champion, he brought back the old design, which was pretty cool. I saw that. I saw pictures of it. That was pretty cool, But then they started like to shy away and these weird looking belts and all that stuff. And like, I don't know. I thought like, I was like, why are they? To me, like, WWE started like to shy away from the traditional looking belts, and I know I'm gonna get hate for that, but this is just the way I feel. To me, WWE killed the traditional looking belts when John Cena brought the spinner, the WWE Championship spinner belt. I thought that was the most god awful looking belt of all time. And yet somehow, even when the logo no longer spin, they kept using that same title, even during CM Punk's reign, Randy Orton's, Triple H, etc. They used that design, and that to me, that was probably like I said, that's the most god awful looking belt of all time. But then they got rid of it. When The Rock came back, I saw that he brought back the belt, and then he made the other different style W, and then they brought back another style with the updated logo. But I never really liked those belts. I thought they look like toys. They look like toy belts. It's like, that's like, I remember one time Hulk Hogan when he went on in Japan, and he said that he was the 5-time World Wrestling Federation champion. He says, and I quote, "This belt is just a toy. It's like a tree, like a ornament, like a tree and a Christmas ornament." He really said that about the World Wrestling Federation Championship belt. He says that The belt that I want is the one that the Great Muta has, the IWGP belt. But Hulk Hogan really trashed the World Wrestling Federation Championship on TV in Japan. But if you compare that belt, the Winged Eagle, to the new ones look like toy belts. Rather like the old ones, like had like these, like the world, the globe, the eagle. Those were like badass belts. So will Cody Rhodes keep his word? I mean, anything is possible, because he brought, like I said, when he was the Intercontinental Champion, I've seen pictures of it. He brought back the old style Intercontinental belt, which that was pretty cool, you know. So let's see what the future holds right now for the brand new champion. So in conclusion, do I agree with the fans with AEW saying that with AEW, not like I said, not all AEW fans. I've met some AEW fans who are extremely cool, very, very nice, but like the ones who are very tribalistic, that they want to see the company fail because Cody's the champion now. And I also made a comment on Twitter saying this. For Cody, I know he had a great run in AEW, but right now that's in the past now for him. Right now, he has to focus in the present. He is now the world champion in WWE. So right now, the torch has been passed. So what's going to happen with Roman right now? I never hated Roman. I've always liked Roman Reigns. He was always a pretty badass character to me. And even though when he was, booed, you know, stuff, but when he came back after like probably like during COVID, he won the Universal Championship against the late Bray Wyatt, and that's when he started carrying. He made the Universal Championship like more legitimate. He carried the company during the times of COVID, and he was, even though he was a heel, he was somewhat cheered. And even during the Bloodline, I mean, I've always liked Roman. I never had anything against the guy. But right now, what's next for Roman? All I know is for a fact that he's going to have some good time off, because he was champion for 1,000 plus days. He carried the company for X amount of time. So right now, he probably deserves a well-deserved rest right now. He's going to be with his wife and his kids. Basically, he deserves it right now. And I would give a round of applause for Roman Reigns, because he gave it all. Like I said, I like Roman. I even wrote and say, Cody against Roman, may the best man win. And I'll give Roman Reigns all the kudos in the world. When will he return? I don't know, because right now he deserves all this time off. He so richly deserves it. So like right now, the company is on Cody's shoulders. So, well, let's see what the future holds right now. So that about wraps up for this week's podcast. And wow, this was a pretty long one. I wasn't really expecting for this one to be a long episode. So stay tuned. I will record more. And also right now I am dealing with a major issue. Something happened again. And also, like, as soon as this case closes right now, I'm going to talk about with what happened with, and also before I forget, update. Remember that I talked about an episode of how I was fired from DoorDash back in December last year, and they told me, and I applied for reinstatement the following day, and they said no, that the deactivation still stands. So they told me to try again in 3 months. This past March 17th. So I waited a day later, and they told me that the deactivation still stands. So I was like, I wasted all this time, and then for them to say no. And it's something that I've And I'm still like, I don't know. There's a lot of questions unanswered. Like right now, when they show me that the reason I was deactivated, now they gave me another bullshit excuse, and they told me to try again in June, which right now, like my girl said, that's like beating a dead horse. Why the fuck go back? Like right now, I'm gonna call again and just like to delete my information because they keep sending all this crap of like this and this and that. Like like if you're not gonna give me another chance, why bother sending me all this stuff, And also, I've noticed that I mentioned that in that company, like, I don't know how fucked up that corporation is. They keep people who are fucking thieves, that they keep people who didn't tip, and then they posted a video on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, whatever, opening the bag of the customer and eating the food of the customer just because they didn't tip. And they're still on the platform. And there was another one, a friend of mine named Melanie. She sent me a video showing me what this DoorDash driver did. And this dude, he was here in Glendale, I believe. And they were showing a Ring camera. And the dude you could see that he was like delivering food, and then he goes down and he bends over, he picks up a box and he puts it in his chair and he walks away. It's basically stole a package, and yet they keep on the platform. But I don't know, I've kind of like felt like maybe this is a ploy of getting rid of all like the old drivers and just want to like hire and get the new hires and just take advantage of them, because the old drivers who have been there, dashers who have been there for quite some time, they know how the system works. But I don't know. Let's see what happens. I'm just like forget about it. I just want to mention what happened to people. So yeah, so that about wraps up for this week's podcast. And I'm talking to another person. He's going to come down very soon to California. So we're going to be doing an interview, and let's see what happens. I want to say thank you for listening and have a great night, y'all. Bye-bye.